Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, everybody. Welcome back to another 1 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your host, Stranger Jim. And today we got, um, well, if everything goes well, we got ourselves an hour worth of Pega. Or probably a little bit less, actually, seeing that I'm starting a little late today, concerning Pega. Um, We'll have an hour worth of Unreal Engine tutorials, studying that. We got some more videos to upload. Or actually, I uploaded videos. I just need to make them public. I need to make those clarifications. And then, of course, we got Honkai Star Rail later on tonight. So if any of that interests you, then stick around. We still got more to come. But if you're watching this on YouTube, then thank you for joining me on these uh, small Pega segments. Hopefully, you find them useful. If you do, please, help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and it would be greatly appreciated. Now, you might be wondering, okay, so what are these videos about, and who the heck are you? Well, right at this moment in time, out of work, unemployed software developer whose last job was dealing with the Pega environment. We were trained by you know, well, I and others of my peers were trained at my last job by an authorized training partner that they had. However, we were having a lot of problems with that particular person, and the majority of us went to self-study. If not all of us had gone self-study. Um, we had I was forced to take the 8.6 certification when I wasn't ready, and well, I failed it. It wasn't too much of a surprise to me at that time because I knew that I wasn't ready for it, but I was forced to take it anyway. But my problem was that I didn't really have any um, mentorship support after the fact. So, which is what I was kind of hoping for, to continue the path towards getting my certification, but that never happened. Um, so I put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off until I brought out this series on streaming because, um, hey, if my last job was in the Pega environment, and if large businesses are trying to go in that general direction, then I got to go along with it. You know, I gotta make money somehow, right? Um, so my aim is to get to that level of understanding so that when I take the certification again, I will pass that minimum. I will get that certification. I'll put it on that resume, and hopefully I'll get that job. So, but we'll see what we can do. Now, concerning these videos, I'm putting them up because there's going to be videos where I'm not quite sure what's going on. What Pega Academy is trying to do. With um, with their topics sometimes. Okay, sometimes I get confused as to what they're trying to state, how they're going about stating it, and so on and so forth. And I'm not sure. I ask questions. So I'm asking for those of you that are available, are aware of Pega, that you're knowledgeable about it, that you've learned from previous developers in Pega, whether you're a lead, manager, you're part of Pega Academy, whatever. Um, I hope that you can go through these videos of mine. I have an entire playlist of them now. And I hope that you can kind of go through them and go, okay, you're asking this question, here's the answer. You know, that'd be fantastic. That's why I put these videos up. Now, if they help you, the viewer, who is also studying for certifications, then that's fantastic. Um, if we can help each other out in learning Pega to get you know, to that goal of certification, then that's perfect. That works perfectly fine. So, but know that I am not an authorized training partner, and this is not meant to be a replacement for the instructor-led training. I'm just trying to study the certification much like anybody else. Now, if you want to take the instructor-led training, you can. It's, from what I understand about it, like a 2-week course that is going to be jam-packed. There's no doubt about that. And it's also like around $5,000, so not exactly cheap. So be aware of that. But take notes, take video recordings, and ask a lot of questions because your goal is to get that certification and you want everybody, or you want that instructor to train you everything about Pega forwards and backwards. you know Not only should you be asking about the current version that's out there right now, but past versions as well. When I took my certification for 8.6, I'm 100% sure that I got questions there that dealt with keywords that were dealing with Pega 7, at least. So make sure that you um, ask those questions. Find out um, find out what happened, the transitions and stuff like that, because you're going to need them not only on the certification itself, but also on the job. You're going to be talking to people from past certifications, and they might not be aware of that a keyword has changed. So they might say one thing, and you might know of it as something else. Okay, so be aware of that. Okay, so but my goal is to get the system architect certification. Okay, now for those of you that are working towards your business architect certification, that's done. We've already covered the 2 missions and 2 modules. So you're gonna need to go. You're gonna need to go back through my playlist and cover these 2 missions, these 2 modules. You know, um, because it's already there. Okay, they've already been done. If you have any questions concerning that, feel free to ask them. But I would recommend these last 2 modules cover the Pega Express Delivery. I would recommend that you go over the Pega Express Delivery, get yourself prepared for it, because this is 12% of the entire certification for a business architect. So be prepared for that. Okay. Will I be doing that? I don't know. Probably not, because business architect is not a goal of mine. The system architect is. So also, we're doing 8.7. There are other versions such as 8.8 and 23. We're covering the 8.7 due to the other languages. I want other people from, um, like if you're German, French, whatever, and you can understand me, then I want you to follow along. Like if you can understand my speech, but you can't necessarily read what's written, like you don't understand, you know, what I highlighted there, then it's okay if you need to follow your own language. No problem on that. Um, but just know that if you say anything that's in another language, like ask me in another language, then it might be difficult for me to reply. But I will do my best. Hopefully I can. But know that I only have one language and that's English. Unfortunately, I never learned a second. Okay, so um, we covered the responsive user interface uh, the other day. We covered the responsive UI and tabular data yesterday. So we are going to be moving on to the next topic of the mobile design best practices. And then we'll go on to the module quiz after that. So fair amount of information here. So let, let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so designing the Pega platform application for mobile users requires you to recognize the specific capabilities and limitations of mobile devices. There are two categories of mobile-specific design considerations: designed for offline use and designed for the characteristics of the device itself. Offline use. A mortgage underwriter frequently visits offices in the locations where the mortgage company does business. While traveling on a plane, the mortgage underwriter reviews loan requests. The mortgage app must be available when the mobile device is in airplane mode. Device characteristics. In the course selection app and desktop application, a hover action displays more information when a partner hovers over a course name. The same hover action is useless on a mobile app because mobile devices do not support hover events. It is the best practice to minimize the need to customize an application for each delivery method. For example, instead of customizing an application to provide a mobile phone user experience that is different than the experience on a tablet, design an application that is compatible across device types. Designed to support offline use. A connection between an app and server may break if the device moves out of a coverage zone or wireless network range. If app users need access to the app at all times, regardless of server access, design the app for offline use. When designing an app to support offline use, minimize server access in the design mode, or UI design. Follow these best practices for offline mobile use. Okay. Enable client-side decisions and validations. Client-side decisions and validations occur on the mobile device rather than the server. When a mobile application is in offline mode, the user can complete and submit a form. When the mobile device is online, the submission is passed to the server and processed. Use data pages as data sources. Always use data pages as a data source if you're designing applications to work on a mobile device when the device is not connected to a network. When a mobile application is in offline mode, the data pages store all completed work. The data pages sync to your application server when the mobile device is online. Use layout groups to take advantage of responsive UI. Depending on the screen size, considering displaying contents by using layouts such as tabs, accordions, and stacked layouts. Using responsive UI, layout groups automatically switch to a specific layout based on the resolution size. For example, the layout changes from a 2-column layout to a 1-column layout when you change a display from a tablet to a smartphone. The 1-column layout is better readability and usability on smaller screens. Alright, so design to device characteristics. The following image, click the plus icons to learn about these best practices to follow when building mobile-ready applications. So create a simple user interface. Oh my gosh. Once again, something you can't see the entire title of. Focus views on important content. Consider hiding less critical information until needed or removing content to pop-ups triggered by UI controls. For example, in a course selection view, you can configure a button that displays a pop-up containing course descriptions. You can also configure mobile-specific visibility options. For example, the mobile version of an app offers a scan barcode QR code option. You can configure a condition to test if users access misspelling that the app from a mobile device. If users access through a laptop, the scan barcode QR option is not available. There's no point in me. Well, I mean, um, let's see. Actually, I'll just go ahead and mention it. Let's see. And design for device window under the first description, you have a misspelling. You'll see instead of the necessary. Should be a simple fix without needing to change any of the other websites. Huh. Use auto-generated controls. Whenever possible, use out-of-the-box auto-generated controls. They are designed to work on all browsers and devices and have mobile-specific configurations. For example, you can configure a date control to have a native rendering when users are on a mobile device. Incorporate native features. Whenever possible, configure case type functionality to leverage native device features, such as address map, signature capture, and add attachment. For example, you can configure a signature capture control on a mobile device to capture a signature either through a pointer input or through a touch interaction. Design for fingertips. Mobile users typically interact with apps by using fingertips. When using a mobile device, users may find buttons easy to tap, but not links. Avoid using double-click or hover events. Double-clicks can be difficult for users to perform, and there are no hover actions for taps. Test the application. Test the application on actual devices by using the operating system the app supports. For example, test an app configured for Android on an Android device. Never rely exclusively on device emulators or simulators or the Pega mobile preview for testing because those test results may not replicate actual device behavior. Testing on actual devices ensures that your application performs well, provides the right experience, and works and behaves as you expect from a mobile application. Good luck if you don't have them. because it would be, well, I mean, for one thing, it'd be really difficult for you to actually own like all the phones out there for you to test. First off, um, you know, um, same with computers. There are too many computers out there to test that on. So trying to test on every single last phone, desktop, Apple product, whatever, you're gonna be experiencing a lot of hardships on trying to do something like that because there's just way too much, way way too many mobile phones, way too many PCs, way too many Apple products to test every single last device. I'm sorry, not possible. Not every company has that kind of cash to own every single possible device out there to test. So, you know, obviously, sure, you can test on the device itself to see whether or not it actually works, but let's face it, you know, you're not going to be able to test on all the devices. That's just not possible. Especially if you don't have the budget for it, you know. So, if you're like maybe a small company trying to do this, there's no way that you're going to be able to go out to like all the stores that are out there, purchase every single cell phone out there, in existence, and then try to test to see whether or not your application works on it. I'm sorry, not possible. Um, you know, because some cell phones might not even be in rotation anymore. But that doesn't necessarily mean that someone might not be using that phone still. Maybe they're really, really careful on their mobile device. They haven't broken it yet. They're still keeping it up in good condition. It's still running to this day. So, but no, it's no longer sold in stores. So what are you going to do, right? Use relative positioning. Design views to provide relative positioning for controls. By default, dynamic layouts are relative position for controls, allowing applications to reposition content displayed on smaller screens. Okay, so we're checking our knowledge with the following interaction. Drag the design consideration to the appropriate approach in the drop area. So use responsive UI, use auto-generated controls, use a simple UI. So um, hmm, uh, that should be fine. Oh, I got them all wrong. Okay. um, so here's what I was thinking on that. So responsive, I was thinking, hey, native rendering. You'd want the date control, you know, rendered, you know, based off of where you're located at. So one would think that that would be responsive, but I guess not. Um, and the auto-generated controls, I figured, hey, you're doing, you switch over to mobile users, and suddenly, a button or a QR code gets generated for you to do. So I figured that would work there. And then for simple UI, hey, avoid scroll bars when viewing on mobile phone. I mean that sounds like pretty standard, simple UI. Like you'd want to avoid horizontal bars, but I guess not. Um, um, okay, so it looks like this goes down to there, and obviously that one would have to go up to that one, and that one goes down to that one. Um, uh, I mean, wouldn't a QR code also be considered auto-generated? I guess my definitions of these are off because when I think of simple UI, I think, hey, you want to have the bare minimum of it, which would, typically mean that you want to have, you want to make sure that, anybody viewing it would not have to deal with horizontal scroll bars. I mean, sure, you might consider that responsive, but I mean, I would also consider that simple. So, um, or I would consider that the definition of simple, you know. Um, presenting a button or QR code, sounds like you would want to have it, be auto-generated by, for something that is for mobile users. That's what I figured that was kind of the case. I wouldn't necessarily consider a button or a QR code to be necessarily simple UI. Um, you know, But um, horizontal scroll bars, viewing and avoid horizontal scroll bars being part of responsive is okay. I mean, sure, I guess. Um, but I would figure that the native rendering would be something that could be considered responsive. So I don't know. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna. I know they're probably going to go. Well, Jim, you still kind of got it wrong. So, um, but so on one hand, I understand what you are trying to say, and I'll try to adjust my mind around your definitions, but at the same time, when I think of a simple user phase design, I would fear that not having horizontal scroll bars showing up for mobile would be kind of a no-brainer. Feared um, having a date um, I mean, I'm gonna look at the value in here. Uh, Figure having a date changed based on location would be something that would be considered responsive based on location. having a button or QR code display for a mobile user automatically sounds like it would be auto-generated. But I guess I'm wrong. I'll try to remember these for the future certification, but it just feels off. Okay, well, scroll bars are responsive. QR code is simple. And date control is auto-generated. I mean, I guess, but I don't know. It just feels off to me. You know, maybe you guys are understanding this perfectly fine, which is like, but I mean, my mind is automatically kind of shifting to that direction, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to fight against that because obviously I got that wrong, and if they throw that question at me, you know, on the certification test, like, you know, you're given a date control for native rendering on a mobile device. Which of the three would you put it in? You know, I would, my mind would automatically probably think of responsive UI. You know, um, because you're changing it based off of the location of where your mobile device is. You know, um, you know, but clearly that's wrong. So I don't know. I just feel like that's either either maybe they need to change their examples here, or maybe they need to explain to me why this wouldn't necessarily work for responsive UI. So, um, what about this particular line doesn't work for responsive? You know, I understand why it probably wouldn't necessarily work for a simple UI. You know, Simple UI wouldn't necessarily care about, where you're located at. They're just going to, output what they feel you should be knowing no matter what, right? So they're not going to conform the application. It's not going to be simple if they conform it, right? So that much I can understand. Um, you know, why aren't horizontal scroll bars considered part of the simple UI layout? Because, I mean, hey, you wouldn't want horizontal scroll bars in your simple UI, your simple user interface. That necessarily, if you had them, you wouldn't necessarily call that simple. It's one of those things where it's like, the definition of the words are, kind of screwing me over here a little bit. So, okay, let's get through um our module quiz because we got Unreal in next couple minutes. So, which of the following statements is true about device preview? Only preview options available are default options. Device preview is available only for completed applications. You still must test applications on actual devices. That's what they would recommend. Device previews is Pega platform add-on. Nope. Nope. And nope. So yeah, that's the correct answer there. Select two best practices to follow when designing mobile applications. Um, use controls that support tapping. Enable server-side decisions and validations. Incorporate native device features. Configure horizontal scrolling for smaller devices. No, you don't really want that. And you might not necessarily want that one either. But then again, that might be useful as well. Mm, but then again, you might want to try to keep everything kind of offline as well if you go into airplane mode. So that's why I'm thinking that one. Yeah, there we go. One or two benefits of a responsive UI. So displays columns configured as other on mobile devices. Okay. Makes the application preview button function available. Mm, maximize data presentation for the available space. Minimizes horizontal scrolling. Yep. I mean, application preview function is like, that's not necessarily going to be like on the mobile device, so that's not really that useful. And you're not going to be displaying other typically on mobile devices, so that's why both of those aren't really working. So, what is the default response? What is the default responsive behavior for tables? Rightmost column is automatically designed and designated as a default column. No. Widest column in the table is displayed on mobile phones. No. Tables with more than 4 columns are not displayed on smaller devices. No. Leftmost column is automatically designated as the primary column. Yes. So, and there we go. Okay, so that's going to be it for our designing UI for multiple devices. We're going to be covering the next topic tomorrow, so look forward to that. Um, We're going to be customizing the appearance of a form tomorrow. So yeah. But that's going to be it for today's Pega certification study. We're going to be moving on to Unreal in just a minute. But I want to thank you all for watching. If you're joining me here on Steam or on stream, um, I want to thank you for joining me on this, and hopefully you'll continue to join me for these Pega study sessions. Feel free to continue watching these videos and check out my playlist if you missed a particular topic concerning the Pega certification. Um, but yeah, that's going to be it for today's session. We're going to be moving on to the Unreal tutorials in just a second, which, I need to switch on over. But I want to thank you all for joining me on this session, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording right now.